Welcome to Music City Fitness with your hosts Josh Gamble and Kat Beach, talking real deal health and wellness and, well, all around body talk. Their friends and colleagues from across the globe are here to share their views with you too. It's just another day in the journey, so grab a drink and a bite to eat and hang with them for a while as they open up new ideas for you.
After me because of this, as does our producer who is behind the scenes right now. We want to give some props to Tom Schaefer for making this happen.
Tom.
Tom.
I
Tom.
never promote our YouTube site and our Instagram and our Facebook. So I also want you guys to know while we're here to actually help you sift through all different health and wellness things. We have anything from bodybuilding to colonics to stress management to chiropractic. We're bringing all of our friends from all around the world to talk about it and help you sift through it, because myself and Josh really truly believe there's a lot of information out there, and it's really getting challenging to see what works and what doesn't. And we want to bring people to you to help you understand what it's all about. And hopefully help you make an educated decision in what's good for you at the place you're in. And so that's why we've brought this to you. And so that's the brainchild of Josh Gamble. Thank you. And so click and help me, Josh, if I forget it, subscribe.
Like the page.
Like the page. That's
Give
Facebook.
5 stars on the reviews on the podcast.
5
That's
stars.
That's important.
I learned that from what is that show we watch? America's Got Talent. Come on, Give me 5.
5 stars, and you hit that gold thing and everything comes down. That's what like that too, if you could do that. So
all right.
Welcome, you guys. So thank you for being here. And tonight, Josh and I have Christel and Garrett McGowan. This is a special moment for me, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves in a minute, but I do want to preface it by saying Garrett McGowan was my original coach back in Miami. And this is a full circle moment for me. He has been a person in my life that was pivotal, a moment in my life when I was really, really floundering when I got down to Miami. And he came in with his technique and his headspace, and there really, there wasn't gray, which was great about it. It was black or white. This is how we're going to do it. And he really transformed my life. And so I thank him for that. And I don't know if you guys want me to, this is their anniversary tonight that they're on the show.
Yeah, happy anniversary.
Thank you. 12 years. And would have never met my husband had it not been for Kat. So
Hurrah, I did something right.
yes. But so
without further ado,
all right,
I want either Christel or Garrett to talk first and kind of tell people who are watching why you got into it. What I don't know, what was that energy that made you get into fitness?
Well, I'll tell you what, in the beginning, I'm going to start, if you don't mind. In the beginning, I taught for almost 8 years, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. So I was an elementary teacher. And I remember somebody handing me a picture walking out of the principal's office. And I looked at that picture, and that was the first time I realized that I was heavy. I didn't realize I was heavy. I knew that I needed to lose some weight, but I needed to lose over 100 pounds. Okay. So I was frustrated. I was angry. I had enough. And one day in bed watching, I don't even know if they have those little advertisements anymore on cable, they have those little advertisements on the front that you think nobody watches, right? I saw a Kat Beach Fitness. All right. Okay. And I said, you know what? This is going to go ahead and be great. Now, she had one of her trainers, Teresa, you know, do the promo, but of course the gym belonged to Kat. So I said, I need to do something. I need accountability. I don't know what I'm doing. So I ended up signing up. And I'll be honest with you, I don't suggest this, but this is what I did. I worked 6 days a week on transforming my body. After legs, I ran a couple miles, and Kat always used to say, give your legs a break. Um, you know, but I was that determined to go ahead and lose that weight and become the person who I thought I was, who was inside me. And I needed to go ahead and let her out. I had the determination. And I have been personal training now since probably about 2003. And I've had good results with clients and not so good results with clients. It's all attitude, okay? I have found that the determination is lacking, and I do not say go out there 6 days a week and train, but that's what and I wasn't personal training 6 days a week. I couldn't afford that on a teacher's salary, but I was going in there doing my cardios on my day off, training about 3 times a week. And finally, I lost that 100 pounds. But through that, I ended up going ahead, and Teresa, my trainer, quit. That's sometimes about trainers. They have part-time jobs, you know, so they go back to their jobs. So you go trainer. I probably had about 4 to 5 trainers. And it got to the point where people asked me, why do you need a trainer, Crystal? You know what you're doing, okay? And I'll tell you what, it was for accountability, okay? And I needed to go ahead and be able to show up. I packed my bag after school. It was in the car. I knew I was going to the gym because if I went home, then I was never going to go ahead and get to the gym.
Yeah.
So, you know, Kat played a very big part in my training. So did Teresa. There are a couple others. And of course, this one too. I say Kat and Garrett are one of the best trainers that I know of. And I did kind of joke earlier, and I am going to go ahead and share this. On a teacher's salary, teachers don't make a lot of money, but I joke around saying I couldn't afford them, so I had to marry him. Now, so he is 72 years old, and he's been in the gym since he's been 14,
13, 12. So.
13, 12, 13. And so his story is a little bit different than mine. I got in there because, and I never wanted to be a bodybuilder, but I'm one of those people who went ahead and I started looking a little better and a little better and a little better. And people kept on asking me, do you compete? Do you compete? Do you compete? Do you compete? And I finally wanted to go ahead and say yes. So I had to ask Kat. Now, Kat probably could have taken me to that level, but I asked Kat, who do you know who can help me compete? So that's when she introduced me to Garrett. I don't recommend bodybuilding. I recommend regular exercise, okay? And that's coming from a bodybuilder. And I know all you out there listening have 30 minutes. It doesn't take 2 hours to go to the gym, okay? You're in, you're out. You go home, have a nice protein meal, go to bed, wake up, and do whatever's next, which depends upon your coach.
How long was the how long was the time span for you to lose that 100 pounds?
It was less than a year. It was less than a year.
You really put hard work in. I mean,
I listen, and I don't suggest it, because when I interview people, and they say they're going to the gym for 7 days a week, I go, oh gosh, because it's not very few people can go to the gym 7 days a week. And I'm not trying to go ahead and sit there and say, hey, you don't got it, right? Because habit, excuse me. My mom would kill me. She was an English teacher. But I was determined. That's how mad I was when I saw that picture. And again, it took that picture for me to realize that I was just that heavy.
Gotcha.
Which we're going to show you. Matter of fact, I guess we'll ask Tom, and after Garrett intros himself, I guess we'll have Tom cue them up to show the pictures, because they're going to shock you, everybody watching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But Garrett.
Well, my story is a little bit different. Crystal intimated a little bit about it, but I was about 13 years old, and I guess I got in one too many fist fights in school. So my dad said, get in the car, drove me downtown, and parked in front of this storefront that had GYM on it and a heavy bag hanging in the window. So my dad, being old school, he thought it was a boxing gym. So he says, gave me some money, and he says, go in there and get your brains beat out. So I went into the gym, but it wasn't a boxing gym. It was a bodybuilding gym. A lot of guys in there, weight training, and so forth. And so I liked it. I liked it right away. And the difference back then, you didn't come into the gym and do your own thing. You got on to the owner's program. It was his gym and his program. You didn't go off and do any kind of exercises. In fact, one day I'm in there working out, and I see some of the bigger, older guys in there doing a movement. And so I wanted to do the movement. It was a flat lateral dumbbell movement. And because that's what the other guys were doing. And because the owner wasn't there, he went out for coffee. He comes back in and he sees me doing that. He said, what are you doing? You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to be able to do pressing those dumbbells a certain amount of weight for a certain amount of times, and then you can do a lateral movement. So nowadays, Josh, you probably know this, that anybody comes in the gym, they just grab and start doing laterals like it's a beginner's movement, but actually it is not, and I'm sure you're well aware of that. So anyway, the old man came in, he saw me doing this, he said, get out. I thought I was in big trouble then, but he was just gone for the day. You had to do his program, or you got in trouble. And of course, then the rest is just history. I got the bug, and I've been doing it for 60 years later. So
what were what were some of the movements and exercises that they had you starting out with for beginners? Because we have all different levels of athletes that'll be listening to the podcast, but for those that are beginners, what were some of the things that got you started, that kind of got you hooked, that they could learn from?
Well, the safer movements, and to build the muscle and the ancillary muscles around the primary muscle you're working, would be a regular pressing movement. Now, back then there was no machines; it was all dumbbells and barbells. So we had to do pressing movements until we got, and I don't remember what we could do. Maybe it was pressing 35 or 40 pound dumbbells before we were allowed to even go into a lateral movement.
Okay.
So what ends up happening is you build a very good foundation. And the difference is now when people come into a gym, we're a very well-equipped gym, and people want to do what? Everything that the gym has to offer.
Oh, yeah.
Now, they shouldn't be doing that. They should stick to the fundamentals, but
which we do. I'm sorry to interrupt. We do give them the fundamentals.
Yeah.
Okay. We do put everybody through a basic full body workout program that they should follow.
Good.
But they get bored. Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it's a different time and era. It's it's a different place. There was a lot more discipline back then. Now they pay their membership and they get to do whatever they want, kind of a deal. And then of course, they don't make the gains that they want. They get discouraged and drop out. So,
what do you think is the primary issue that has gotten in the way?
Well, there are several. I don't want to sound too much like a naysayer, but I think the main thing is the lack of camaraderie in the gym. And this is due to cell phones and earphones, YouTube trainers, a lot of distractions.
You can get good stuff off of YouTube, but listen, anybody can go ahead and build a YouTube channel. So not all of them are bad, okay? But
you don't know which is good and which is bad if you don't know.
Right.
So I always say get with a qualified trainer and let that qualified trainer teach you proper form and the exercise you should be doing.
Perfect thing to say, proper form, by the way, because I see a lot of people, and so does Josh, then I know you guys do, using improper form in the gym.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because I know back in the day, I saw a huge amount of, I should say very little diabetes, but a whole lot of
very true.
cholesterol medications, so statins and so forth. What do you really think is, aside from the cell phones and so forth, what do you think is, you know, it's almost like a weakness. It's almost like there's something generationally that is happening. And I'm
well, they have too many distractions. There's too many things going on in their life. You know, the gym was a main focal point for us kids growing up. Right. So we didn't, you know, we looked forward to it. I mean, going to the gym was a big deal. Now the kids going to the gym is just another thing that they could do, another event or another distraction, you know, things like that. So.
And it used to be where you went ahead and went into the gym, and Kat trained me like this, maybe not in this order. You had a chest day, you had an arm, you had a chest, arm, and leg. Okay, so 3 times a week. Okay, now there's no day. They happen to just, not everybody who's watching, but they just happen to come in because they have a little bit of time and they want to go ahead and say they went to the gym. Yeah. So there's really no commitment. Am I allowed to say that? That's a Planet Fitness thing.
Well,
no.
Well, we want people to commit.
Well, they have Tootsie Rolls on the front counter.
Bagels,
Yeah, and bagels and pizza night and food truck night and
food truck.
Well,
I went in with a gallon of water. I went in with a gallon of water, and they told me I couldn't bring it in, and it was a really interesting moment because I've kind of strayed away from hardcore weightlifting. I mean, I do weightlifting, but I wasn't in that headspace. But I bring my gallon around because I've always learned, and quite frankly, straight through from Garrett, to have a gallon of water a day. And when they told me I couldn't bring it in, I thought, well, why is that? And because it's gym intimidation or something of the sort. And I thought, you know, that was the most foolish thing I've ever heard in my life.
You're too hardcore for the gym, Kat.
Yeah. Too hardcore.
Yeah.
But when that zonker thing goes off, I'm not sure. We probably shouldn't even say this, but I'm not even going to worry about it. But you know, that zonker went off. I was on the gauntlet, and it scared me. I thought it was.
Fire alarm.
What were you doing that made that zonker thing go off on somebody else?
Somebody else in the weight room. Or maybe somebody was wearing something that was a little too scantily clad.
Or running on the Stairmaster instead of walking like you were supposed to.
You know what?
Right.
But I almost fell off. You guys know.
No, that's a loud sound there. And I'm not putting anybody down who goes to Planet Fitness. Okay, so please understand that you're moving. It's important to move. You don't have to pick up that Tootsie Roll. Okay, you kind of just go in there with the blinders. You go ahead. You can get a good workout there depending upon the time you go ahead and enter the gym. All right. If it's at 5 o'clock, good luck. If it's at 5:30, even worse. Right. But listen, you can get a good workout all you need is a pair of dumbbells, okay, and a bench.
I would tell the
And I shouldn't have said that, but anyway.
Yes, you should have.
Can we take that off?
Yeah, we'll edit that out. We'll just, play some little classical music over that.
But,
I would just speak to the beginners here. It's very important how you start with proper form, but stick to the fundamentals of weight training and get good at them before you start in some of those odd lifts and different types of movements. Stick to the fundamentals for at least a year. Get very good at it, get strong at it, build those tendons, get the bones strong, get the muscles strong, and then see where you are, because you'll make tremendous gains in your strength and your physique. And then if you want to get off into something else and do a little more advanced training, again, go back to that qualified trainer and mention to them, this is where I am now, and can you suggest something a little different for me?
Garrett, what do you think of your top 5 basic fundamental exercises you could give them to do?
Well, I bet there's people out there thinking I'm going to say the bench press, but I'm not going to say the bench press. The bench press is a learned exercise. Nobody teaches it in the gym that I know of, and it's a big shoulder injury movement. I would say stick to the dumbbells, incline, flat. Use the dumbbells. They're a lot easier on the shoulders with the proper form. For beginner, squatting is good exercise, but it's a learned movement. The squat is not easy to learn, to do it properly. If you don't do it properly, the young guys, they get hurt and they never go back to the gym. I mean, all the time I've heard guys come in and they're 40 years old, and I say, when's the last time you trained? He says, oh, went to high school, but I got hurt back then. Because there's no qualified trainer in high school teaching these kids how to lift. So it's really, really important. Get with a qualified trainer, stick to the fundamentals. And that's the best advice I can give any of the young guys.
No, that's good.
Yeah. And Josh, I remember when I, again, first started, I was given a pair of 3-pound dumbbells doing laterals, shoulder laterals. And I mean, that was heavy for me. So like I said, heavy is a relative word, okay? And I don't train my clients to become bodybuilders. I train them, most of them just want to be healthy, okay?
Right.
Yeah. So like I said, bodybuilding is a very, 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 it's very different. It's up there. It's not better than anything else, but I was just one of those ones who just wanted to take it. And I used to be one of those ones who looked at Muscle Fitness magazine and I said, God, that's gross. I don't want to look like that. Okay. Yeah. So I understand. And a lot of men they interviewed on the street showed bodybuilders, and they asked people on the street, what do you think of this build? And they said, that's gross. Okay. So as a female, people will go ahead and say, for the most part, some people will say, ew. Okay. And I understand that. And I do it for myself. I don't do it for other people.
Right. And that's what I tell clients. I mean, we as trainers, we're paid to stay in shape. We're paid to look physically fit and to look good in a sense. And
well, speak for yourself, Josh.
This is a 72-year-old man. He looks great.
Say, if I look that good at 52, I win. But it's, I just try to tell them do it for you, because you're not trying to be the fitness model. Like, I'm okay with clients eating certain foods as long as it's, in smaller portions, as long as they're still doing their workouts. Like, if you want to have a little bit of ice cream, have it. If you want to have some pasta, have it. But you're still working out. You're still getting it in. Is our blood pressure in the right spot? Is cholesterol in the right spot? Are we fitting it? I like to have a lot of my clients focus on their macros. I feel like it's a little easier for them to kind of follow, to get in the meals they want without splurging.
Sure.
But when it comes down to it, I mean, I've had a client tell me, she was like, I know that I'm a little on the, say, bigger side. She's like, but my numbers are good. She's like, I enjoy food. I want to work out so I can continue to eat my food. And
There you go. I have one.
As long as you're healthy and your numbers are good, then you do you.
Yeah. I had one who said, you know what? I know I'm never going to be skinny, but I want to be strong. So, you know, so, I mean, guess what? The denser her muscle becomes, she's going to start burning more calories, and she might surprise herself.
That's also true. A lot of people start to do it, and they start to see the change, like, oh, well, I can do it. And it helps them kind of like, maybe I'll cut back a little bit more on these sweets or these carbs or whatever I might be doing.
Right. Absolutely.
I found that there's a gap of people who are in the obesity level. Pardon me for interrupting. I want to make sure that we.
You're not interrupting. This is your show, baby.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not interrupting. But it's an important conversation. I've seen. Thanks, girl. So I'm just going to talk for the rest of the time. No, I found there are not, or I should say not everybody. I was talking to Garrett about it too, and I know Crystal, you'll chime in, and so Josh. There are types of people. I'm worried about the obesity rate in America, and I'm seeing, you know, an entire store wall of self-help and diets and different training techniques from different bodybuilding professionals across the board all the way through. And I'm seeing people with incredible information that are failing, and whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on their, you know, their iPhone. And I wonder if you can wax eloquent a little bit on what you think. Garrett, you've seen this for, you know, obviously everybody said you're 72 and you look freaking phenomenal, might I add. Thank you, Kat. I'm going to say it again and again, but
he just needs to smile a little more. There you go. See that?
Little peek. It's an anniversary. I'm on this thing. This is important to talk about the type of person or the type of people, the different types of people that will win at this game. And so we can look at professional athletes every day, all day, and they have this insane, awesome, you know, 4 a.m. discipline up and
drive. They have that drive.
That thing that's deep in here. And I'm not sure what drives it, where it's at, what the machine, where it's, you know, this little conversation. I don't necessarily know that. I did in my younger years, but I'm seeing too many people fail. I'm seeing too many people want it and not get it. I'm seeing too many people, you know, in a lot of different experiences, protect the bottle when it comes to alcohol. I'm seeing people try their desperate desire to take every drug known to man to try to do it for them. And I'm also seeing them fail. You know, Adderall seems to be the pill of choice for everybody, and it hypes that serotonin level. It scares me because I'm seeing a generation of people go down. And because I consider, and Josh knows this, Crystal, Garrett, you guys know this, I consider building your body an absolute obligation.
Right.
You want to live long and prosper, as they would say. You have to have a strong body. So what are the two different, what styles of?
You got to have a strong mind. Okay. So the body follows the mind. Okay. So if your mind is not where it should be, your body is not going to follow. Okay. Yeah. It's not going to, it just won't happen. So no matter what you read, okay, it's great, but you want to have it. You need to be frustrated. You need to be a little bit angry to want it that bad. Okay. And, we've seen it happen. We've seen people all the time. I mean, people come to us. We're very excited when they do, Josh, Kat, and they said they had to lower my blood pressure medication, or they had to go ahead and cut back on my diabetes because they're getting stronger. They're lower glycemic, less sugar in that body. And, you know, this works, and you got to go ahead, give it 21 days. They say it takes 21 days to develop a habit. And if they don't do it the first time, this is what happens. They come back a year later. This is going to sound awful, and they're usually 10 pounds heavier.
Yeah. Well, and I also remember that Garrett would say constantly, and I actually want your thoughts on diabetes in a minute, Garrett. Garrett, and I'm sure you've heard this too, Crystal. Garrett would say, Kat, you see that weight, the weight pit, you would call it? Those are the people who are changing. Those are the people who are courageous enough to do the work to change. You see over here on the treadmill, well, and the elliptical, well, they're going to be the same weight today that they will be, because it was just a consistent, not to say it's not good for circulation, not to say it's not good for your heart, but if you want to change, you have to be courageous enough to hit the weights. And for females, that's like, for it, and some males for that matter. But this is, brings up a point for me. Why diabetes, Garrett? Why?
I picked up a 5 pound weight and look what happened. No,
I know, look at you. And you keep, by the way, before you answer that, Garrett, you keep knocking the bodybuilder. I tell you what, both of you have mastered the art of transforming your human physique. And for me to see that is extraordinary. If people watching could even get 1/3, I'm sure Josh would agree, 1/3 of what you have to create that, they're going to win, hands down, at transforming their body. Because you guys go, but tell me, because it's bothering me. Why is diabetes become, type 2 diabetes such a big issue? I didn't, back in the day when I was training at Seaview or coaching at Seaview, people were on statins. I only had one person with type 1 diabetes. Other than that, I didn't see diabetes at all.
No. Sugar has become, sugar is a drug, and insulin withdrawal, okay, is the hardest thing. I don't want to compare it to other drugs out there, but, and I don't want to say it because I'm going to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but,
no, go ahead.
The more people who are on sugar and sitting on the couch and are sick, and have the diabetes, the easier it is to go ahead and control. Now, well, I know that sounds way out there, and I apologize for that, but it's sugar is a drug. It is a drug.
And it's a real hard one to kick. I mean,
absolutely.
But because I back in the day was able to really transition. I mean, I'm going back to Seaview Hotel, Garrett. There were a number of women who were really in it to win it, and we were able to really transition them at least. 30 like Deanna Susi, golly. The other Deanne Fishman, they would transition and build muscle tissue, and it was a whole different scenario to keep them off. I'm not sure what happened. There was just some sort of pivotal transition that happened over the last, I'd say 15, 20 years, definitely the last 10 years. And it's of course it's disappointing because I think it's what's in our food. Garrett, have you seen anything that you see different in just generations?
Well, the marketing of fast food is, they're spending millions and millions of dollars, television, the internet, everything is, so then there's sugar and flour in just about everything. Go to the grocery store and start reading all the ingredients. It's sugar and flour. I've had a lot of people over the years ask me to put together a nutritional program for them, but I always revert back. I started in Jack LaLanne's gym. Jack was already in LA by then, but I started at 12th and Franklin, which was his gym back in the 50s. And Jack always had a thing, and he was way ahead of his time, but I do the same preaching as Jack did: no sugar, no flour. And if people can just do that, and I say you don't go cold turkey, but just know that sugar and flour are the enemy. And if you can get that into your psyche and start utilizing that information, you will drop a ton of weight. So just that alone will do it. It's not like you don't really need a diet plan, because people don't follow the diet plan anyway that you made for them.
That's true.
And that's where we differ. We differ. Excuse me. I usually tell my clients, choose one thing that you can go ahead and live without. Okay. Don't go ahead, again, what Garrett said, and quit cold turkey. If you can make those little changes before you know it, you'll go ahead and be pretty surprised at what you can accomplish.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, we were talking earlier or the other day, Garrett, about the generational, I'm almost tempted not to talk about it, but I think it's imperative that people hear it. Each generation becoming weaker. And I really want to talk about it because I think that it's certainly not more feeble-minded, but weaker in their mind when it comes to transitioning, because everybody's looking for the way out. Are you noticing that over the last, maybe let's just go 3 decades, have the generations become weaker? And I want your honest opinion.
Well, that's a no-brainer for me. Again, I've trained with guys that were a generation older than me, and we were not as disciplined, as strong as those guys were. And then the generation after me, that's when the excuses started coming, why I can't do this, I can't do that. And a lot of it's, I find a lot of it's the ego. We didn't mind failing in the gym. You know, we were okay with that. Nowadays, the guys don't want to push themselves too hard, or they don't want to fail. They don't want to try that hard. They want to push themselves. You know, to fail, you got to push yourself hard. Yeah. So if you don't push yourself hard, you're really not going to fail, are you?
Yeah.
So that's what I've seen, and I've gone through, well, probably 4 generations, you know, of people in the gym. And, you know, I'm going to get crazy now, but when I first started training, women were not allowed in gyms. And the reason, not that we didn't like women, but it was kind of a crude place to be in. It was all guys, you know, the language was a little colorful, and there was a lot of scratching and burping and these kind of things that went on. But the difference is, I mean, we pushed each other so hard, yelling at each other, and then the women came in the gym, and so we didn't want to look bad in front of the girls, right? So, you know, we didn't yell at each other, we didn't push each other hard, you know. So, I mean, I could go back so far that was a major slipping point for the high intensity training that we did. And it's been going down ever since.
So you're blaming it on perfume and pheromones. Okay.
But then after the Oakland gym, then they went to alternate days. The men were Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and the women, same gym, were Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And they had a woman running the women's gym and the guy running the men's gym.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I think we can all get along and train at the same day and the same time. But
I'm just letting you know how things transform.
I know, but you know how it also transformed a couple years ago. What's the name of the female gym that's no longer? What was it called?
It was Curves.
Curves.
Curves, yeah.
Are they still around?
I don't think there are too many open.
Yeah. That was the one gym my grandma would go to, and they closed it down in her town, and so she quit going.
Yeah. I mean, it had a purpose.
Yeah.
Curbs had a definite purpose. Gets people off the couch and doing something, you know, especially the older generation.
And they feel comfortable.
In their 80s, they loved going. It was the one thing they could go, and they didn't feel embarrassed or they didn't.
Right.
Circuit, and it got them off the couch and got them doing something.
Right. Yeah. Very, very important.
I think I remember a lady, I believe, who was 90 years old, Garrett, who came into Seaview. I'm maybe incorrect. She would wear her
their jewelry.
Yeah, Chanel suit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tough as nails. Here was a gorgeous, golly, I can't remember her name, but
I can't either, but I know who you mean.
she was feeling good. She didn't want to hang around Crystal. She didn't want to hang, not Crystal, I mean Crystal. She didn't want to hang around women at all.
Yeah,
but she
right.
wanted to be around the men. But she really felt an intense power, and she was lean, super lean,
Right.
Chanel, fully decked out, and
Right.
I couldn't coach her. Garrett had to. She didn't want to do it. But I really admired the fact that she wanted to pump, you know, even at that point, a 15-pound or 10-pound.
Yeah, she wanted to do something. Well, she was an older lady, and she knew that proper weight training was going to keep her youthful and strong and young, which she was trying to keep going. She was 90 or 91 at the time.
He had Polly Brock, who how old was probably, she was in her 80s.
Yeah, I forgot about
stiff-legged deadlifts. With how
she did stiff-legged deadlifts with 65-pound dumbbells.
Yeah, 80 years old.
Yeah, and she only trained with me. I guess by that time it's probably the third year, and it was only during the season because we were a seasonal gym back then.
No.
Herbert Hoover, who was in a wheelchair just because his muscles atrophied, not because there was anything wrong, but because he had his muscles atrophied.
Said he'd never walk again.
The doctor said he'd never walk again. Garrett worked with him, and he was out of his wheelchair.
Really?
So,
he was the vacuum cleaner guy.
And,
oh yeah.
Hoover vacuum, yeah.
Vacuum's in my closet right now.
Yeah, right.
David Brinkley.
Which the wife wasn't happy because I shouldn't say this.
The wife.
He went back to womanizing. Okay. He wanted him in that darn wheelchair.
She got mad. She got mad at me. She saw me in the lobby one day, and got mad at me. Like, what did you do to my husband? I said, well, he's walking. You should be happy. No, he's walking to the bar every afternoon. So I said, well, that's your problem. I just got him out of the wheelchair.
I just got him back. Yeah, that's funny.
There's a lot of funny stories back then, really are.
David Brinkley was one
more time on my husband, and then I'll zip it. You know, even orthopedic surgeons who you would think would know, and we might have some listing, I don't know, who know about the body because they go in there with drills and all that good stuff. You know, he's trained tons of orthopedic surgeons who are not sure how to go ahead and develop that muscle. They're great at bones, but they're not in tune. Not all of them. They weren't in tune with developing the body.
Yeah.
Oh.
But Josh, I hear your boot camp is fantastic.
It's a good alternative to I think a basic boot camp. Barry's has been around for about 25 years now. We've had the one here in Nashville for 7 years. Going back to what Garrett was saying earlier, when it comes to failure, like it's the one place where I tell people it's okay to fail.
Yes.
We're more, lightweight, high reps, and I always tell people if you can go the whole set, everything's timed. So if you can go the whole set without taking a break, then the weights are too light. You're not working hard enough. Like it's just trying to get people to that mindset. Like, to go back on what you were saying earlier, like they don't want to fail because they feel like they can't fail, or they feel like they're embarrassed because, well, the person next to me hasn't stopped lifting, even if they're lifting 10 pounds more. It's just like, it's 100% an ego thing, which at some point that's okay. I mean,
that's okay.
You want to push yourself and you like that fun competition, but when I get people coming in and, start to sacrifice for them because they're trying to swing those weights up and get those, because they can't stop because it'll make them look bad. Just try to, encourage them and let them know that, you're good to fail in there. And I feel like that's a comfortable place where people can come to and feel that way. And it's a good camaraderie. It's a good family location. I mean, I think everyone that I'm friends with now is about 1 degree of separation from that gym. I mean, I've met everyone through there. It's a good.
Fantastic.
That's great. It really is.
It gets that unity.
Yeah.
Ego, by the way. So Garrett and Crystal, let's talk some real deal health versus ego. What really gets the transformation? And why do I ask that? I've seen a lot of doctors and people who claim to want to change because of health. And I don't see, I don't see that happening. And I don't want to say it's pure ego, because I'm also a faith-oriented person. I'd like to think there are a lot of different elements, but there's that honest observation: health versus ego. What gets the change, guys?
Well, I think in my experience, health reasons will get them into the gym because their doctor says you've got to go to the gym, but they not motivated. Interesting. The number one motivator, really, if you wanted to put that ego in there, would be vanity. That's a tremendous motivator. The doctor told me to come to the gym because I got to lose 20 pounds. My blood pressure is through the roof. That's not motivating enough. They won't do it. They'll make a stab at it, but that's about it. But somebody comes in that wants to look good and worried about her figure, or a guy wants to work on his physique because he's wants to hang out at the beach. That guy will work hard. Yeah. And so vanity will always win over a health issue, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a client who had a heart attack. He survived, and he was kind of going to come to the gym because that was enough to scare him, or so we thought. He never showed up. So, go figure.
I know. Mm-hmm. I've seen people come out of a quadruple bypass and go straight back to eating, McDonald's. You think there'd be something that shakes you up, especially your heart.
Right.
That is your foundational piece. And that's why I wanted to talk about it. The people I have seen change, or I've helped change in my career, yes, they were vanity driven. They were pictures on the refrigerator, picture next to the bed. Mm-hmm. It's an interesting thing to talk about, because what really gets the change. And when you have United States that's the obesity crisis is so high right now, or in 2019, I think it was 59.9 million. I might be slightly off on my number, but it was really, really high. It was over 30% obesity. I look at that and I say that's over 30% of people who are not willing to be strong. Right. They're not willing to gut it up, buttercup, and put it's. And I'm not always perfect at it. I've had my day back in the day where I felt like I lived, I ate, slept, and it was my whole world. So I'm sure there are a lot of other things coming into it. I'm sure there are a lot of pharmaceuticals that have become a major issue in being a determinant.
Sometimes some people are mentally unstable because of the medication that they're taking, which would stop them from going ahead and getting into the gym. Depression is a big thing. Mm-hmm. But and then
there's a huge portion of, and you may disagree with me, of getting on medication to help depression, and that flips to a whole nother, because we're dealing with serotonin, dopamine, we're dealing with and GABA, some mood altering hormones in the brain. But one of the reasons why people take Adderall, which I'm highly against unless you truly are ADHD, is to try to get that high so you can get those hormones, the mood altering hormones, to give you that high. But the low, for those, the low is awful afterwards for all the SSRIs, so things that deal with.
Yeah, absolutely.
That can also be weight gain. So it's an interesting moment, because it seems like I wish we could get the doctors and the coaches on the same level, or have a moment where, heck, we can all talk and communicate about it. And I don't know if that'll ever happen, but what really hit me, Garrett, is when you really did talk about the people, the generations becoming less strong. That bothers me, because the kids need to understand what it is to really get in there.
Well, how many young boys do you see out throwing the football in the street anymore? But then versus how many are there on their cell phone sitting there at a restaurant with their mother and father, not even paying attention to the family dinner? Right. They're on the phone. Again, it's the attack of the electronics and games and so forth. So
You know, it used to be where you could set up a gym next to a high school and you could go ahead and say, you know what, this is going to be great. Nowadays, they're just not everybody, but most of them are just not interested.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I did one of the gyms I'd worked out prior to this. I found a niche in training the kids. They were younger, like 13 to 15, but I would get the ones, and that's a different age for a young boy. Your hormones are kicking in. You're adjusting. Some have not quite hit a growth spurt. So I ended up started training a group that just didn't quite make the football team, didn't quite make the baseball team. So we made strength training their sport, their activity.
Fantastic.
Because they felt, because everyone wants to be a part of the team. I mean, football teams you're not going to get cut from, I don't believe, a public football team, but probably not going to get the playing time, if you're in high school. And,
Right.
And I'm 5'11", about 180 right now. And I'm the same height I was when I graduated, but I was 130 pounds in high school. So I'm about 50 pounds more. And I had to strength train to get bigger because being skinnier in high school was almost the equivalency of being heavier. Like you still had that insecurity. You still had people kind of give you, tease you, give you crap for it or whatever. But I found that was a good way to kind of get them plugged in. But now it's like, you're right. They're lazier, I'm going to say, but I also see how my grandfather was, who worked on the farm, worked with his hands. My dad was the same way. And then I had the alternative of having a little bit more activities with sports coming around where you could play almost any sport, where they didn't really have an option. Maybe baseball, but you were up early working on the farm. You were physically, manually labor was your thing. And now like you said, you get, whether it's video games or there's a lot of kids when they get into sports, they're into sports, and there's a lot of opportunity to get we played sports seasonal. Baseball was a seasonal time. Football was seasonal. Well, now, like, if you're a football player, you can play all the time, all year round, go to different camps. But there's that group that just can't quite be that elite. Sure. So like you said, trying to have a gym next to a high school used to be a good way to get them plugged in. And now it's like, well, I could, but I can also go home and play a video game. Or I can also try to connect on an Instagram and try to, and your 15-year-old boy, girls are on your mind. So it's not a video game, it's a girl. And so it's like, you can talk and communicate, and you can hide behind a screen. So it gives you
very good point. That's exactly where we are.
Kat, do they keep on talking about women in a negative? Get Garrett and now Josh.
Yeah.
I love women. I'll never talk negative. I'll never talk. I'm not negative.
I've been doing a lot of gyms, and now there's
about women. I'm going to go in the gym tomorrow, and I'm going to spritz it with perfume and say,
there you go.
No longer Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Welcome.
You're going to see a lot of guys start lifting a lot quicker, a lot heavier.
I've been sitting here. If you guys see me look down, it's because we're finally the audio was fixed. So we're finally the audio on YouTube.
That's great.
Yay! But we've got the audio anyways all the way through.
That's great.
There's something that I find really remarkable, which is to have, and I've seen you do this, Garrett, Christel, I've seen you do it. Marty Wright had this, not only inspirational, not only motivational, but stick to it. So I'm wondering if you guys might, just impart upon people what it is to stick to it, stick through it. And obviously to get to it, you got to go through it. And, a lot of people will go through, like I've had some people who will take a couple weeks off or a month off. And I say, no, that's the worst thing you can do. Whatever you do, if you crawl through the month, but don't take it off.
Have an appointment when you get back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't even like the couple months off. But you make sure you have their appointment when they get back. Mm-hmm.
Kat, the sad thing to it, and I'm sure Josh has seen this many times. It's kind of a thing you either have it or you don't. In other words, what we do works for everybody, right? Yep. They could train with us and Josh and it will work. absolutely, it's 100% true that it works.
Yes.
Now, the problem is it's not for everybody.
True.
So there's the separation. You know, we're trying to make everybody get involved in it and get excited about it.
Yeah.
But it's not for everybody. And that's, but there's
people
no way
think
around that.
Everybody says they want it. They want to look like J-Lo. They want to do that, but they don't want to.
Yeah, well, I want to make $1 million, but I don't want to get out of bed in the morning.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, well, it's true.
you see, so
I mean, we have somebody who wants it so bad, right? That this is his 4th time joining the gym. Now, we love the fact that he's joining the gym, but how badly does he sure want it if it's his 4th time joining the gym
Right.
and he just finished canceling again?
Yeah.
So it'll be a 5th time.
Well,
But,
so what do you think is the reason people cancel so frequently or don't follow through? You think it's the same reason for this guy the 4th time, or do you think there's something new, or?
well, the reason is because he's coming in the gym and he's doing things on his own and he's not getting the results that he's wanting in 2 or 3 months, and he drops out. He says, I'm not getting what I want. I'm not going to pay gym dues anymore. He leaves the gym, comes back 10 pounds heavier the next year.
or subscribes to some Peloton workout.
Right.
You know, yeah. And
building
which is
that
not it.
foundation is primary. I think people don't get it. You're not going to, first and foremost, the one thing I've learned from both Garrett and Christel and you, Josh, you have to build your foundation first. And that's not something you see. And that's where I think people get really messed up. You're not going to see your lats. You're not going to see the rhomboids. You're not going to see the quads, the hamstring. You may gain a little weight, matter of fact, or look a little thicker while you're creating this.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're strong enough to stick with it and recognize you're building the roots, they have to be strong, and then you get in there and you lean down. For instance, Garrett, Christel, tell people, please, for heaven's sakes, talk about why they should not be on pure protein forever and ever, all men. I don't understand how people feel that they can build a
Well,
good
that's the following the Atkins diet, you know.
Yeah.
And your
Totally
body
gonna build
doesn't function
you
that
have
way.
to have carbs.
Yeah.
you have to have carbs if you're training.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Absolutely.
definitely one of the things, like I was saying earlier, it's majority of the clients I have are women, and I have some that are just, they hear the word carbs and they just freak out. They're like,
Right.
well, I had carbs today. So, well, how many did you have? They're like 20. I was like, in one meal? They're like, no, for the whole day. I was like, how in the world?
Yeah.
I was like, like, that's why you're out of it and you're just lethargic and you're a little cranky and
Right.
all that.
You're fogged out. You don't even know who you are, right?
Explain
Adderall. No,
well, explain to everybody why carbs are such a good thing if you can. Like the benefits
Well,
of it.
but you know this is the spindle, guys, and I don't mind talking it straight talk. Everybody will be in that moment where they're like, okay, I've only had 20 grams of, I don't even know what type of carb, and I can't even think straight, and I'm at work, so I better pop 10 milligrams of Adderall to try to bring me back up, and so I'm going to be okay, and then you fall shattered to the floor. It's ridiculous the amount of damage people will do to their body to try to make it a stronger body. And we need to talk about it, because that's the meat of this, is why are people willing to absolutely destroy their body with all types of drugs, when in all actuality they want to look like somebody, they want to look like you guys. Maybe not in the bodybuilding form, but they want to look like somebody like J-Lo, and she has a huge workout ethic.
All you have to do is get with a qualified trainer, commit to a year, and you'll be on your way.
Yeah.
That's
There's
it.
the gold. Commit to a year.
That's what I tell people. Just commit. I mean, in 365 days, you're still going to be here. God willing, you're still going to be here. So why not just continue to a program? Why not just stick to, or I'll even tell clients, give me 30 days. We're going to still be training. Give me 30 days. Follow the regimen I'm giving you. Eat those carbs and see how you feel in 30 days. In worst case, if you feel like I'm wrong, which I'm not going to be, then take them all out and you can go back to where you were. But give me 30 days of that. like you said, I mean, you're still going to be here in 30 days. So why not give something a try? You've been doing the wrong thing for however many years. What's 30 days of trying to do something just a little different?
Yeah. How long do people do low carb before competing? Like low to no?
Well, it all depends how much body fat they're carrying, but
we're talking bodybuilding now, okay?
Yeah, no,
so we're not talking.
The reason I want that is because I want people to hear real deal. Let's
Okay.
go top level and then we'll shed it back.
I was on 0 carbs my very first show because I had a lot of body fat to shed, okay? And there was a point where he had to almost literally carry me out the gym because I was hitting the wall, okay? And that, competing is a completely different animal. And like I said, we're not here to go ahead and promote bodybuilding, okay? But, depending upon how much body fat you're carrying, and another thing, how much intramuscular fat do you have compared to subcutaneous? Everybody has intramuscular fat. All right. For years, I trained my triceps. I know this is off topic. I couldn't feel them. He always used to tell me, that's because you don't have any. You have too much intramuscular fat. So as your intramuscular fat starts disappearing, disintegrating, okay, you will not necessarily see a change in your body, even though you will see some. Then you need to work on the subcutaneous, underneath the skin body fat, to go ahead and get those changes. So I train clients and I ask them, where do you feel it? And it's everywhere except
the muscle you're working.
The muscle you're working. Okay. And that's because
It's true.
It's intramuscular fat.
I got to tell you a funny story I just thought of. Crystal was training a lady. This is at the studio, Kat.
Okay.
And it was on the pull down machine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she's trying to let this lady know that, I want you to pull it down using your lat muscles, okay? And so this lady wasn't getting it. Crystal said,
I was a new trainer.
Yeah. Crystal said, now pull it bar down, but don't use your arms.
I'm trying to get it into her back instead of into her arms. Going back and back, and she's just like, I don't get it. See, that was my fault. That's a new trainer,
but it's a perfect thing to say. I mean, I can say it to a guy. I'm training a guy now for a show. I can tell him that. Right. Hey, pull it down, don't use your arms. He'll get it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get him to do. But this lady was totally confused, It was very funny.
That's actually classic.
That's what we were saying earlier. It's like you have to sometimes break down, because you don't mean to talk over something. Like I'm not trying to flex my trainer muscles on you mentally on what I know that you don't. It's just sometimes you say things you don't mean to, and you just assume everyone knows.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think this is so good is because people will be able to listen in and chime in, and they have questions they can ask, and we can kind of break it down. Because I think it's, like we were talking about before, Kat and I, it's like we're missing a huge gap for people who just need to learn the basics. Sometimes like you see everyone on Instagram or YouTube, and it's like, look at all these crazy workouts I can do. And that's great, you can. But the average Jane and Joe sitting in their house, they're not going to be able to do that. They're like, oh, that's great.
Right.
But like, it's not like Jack LaLanne or even Richard Simmons back then. Like, you can do the basic exercises. It's getting you up, but it's trying to like show them they don't have to be intimidated. I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people won't do the gym. It's like they get intimidated. Well, and it's easier just grab your phone and, hey, I can just do this. I can play a game. I can scroll through Instagram. Everyone sat there in bed and scrolled through social media for 30 minutes and be like, what in the world am I actually doing? When you can either be sleeping or doing something more productive. But I feel like a lot of people just get intimidated because they're like, well, I'm going to see these. I always see these crazy videos online, because what's going to get attention online? Someone teaching a basic bicep curl is going to get no attention online. No one wants to see that. So what's the crazier thing I can do? Oh, I can stand on an exercise ball and do these curls, or I can stand on this ball and do these squats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, what the hell are you doing? But then someone says,
Right.
like, yeah, not
Yeah.
good. If that's at the gym, I'm going to stay at home. But I feel like if we could find a way to get back to basics and teach, proper like form and technique, and explain, like when you say don't use your arms, engage your lats more. I think we need a lot more of that. It's just trying to find a way to bring that to everyone's attention.
And you're right. And we are a mom and pop gym, and we don't have a manager. So we are here. We do take a break during the middle of the day. So we do have that ability. And, most gyms, if you walk into them, you see unfortunately an 18 or 19-year-old, at the counter who knows probably very little about training. So we're able to work with our members, but sometimes it's just like Garrett said, it works for everybody, but unfortunately it's not for everybody. And that sounds very cruel, but we're being very honest here.
Yeah. There's no holding back on here. Like just
Like it is.
But like you're saying,
It's frustrating though, because Josh, that how many people have you heard say, I want this, I want this, I want this. I mean, even me at certain times where I feel like I want certain things and I'm just going through a transition in my life. I'm a little different, so I can key things in. But I can't tell you how many people who've told me, matter of fact, the number one thing I've heard from people is, I call it protecting the bottle.
Well, Kat, I got to interject something here. On your behalf, I've trained you. Well, the first time was way back in '96, I think.
96.
And then 5 or 6 or 7 years later, I trained you again, and you brought it.
Every time.
You brought it every time. I mean, you would hit the floor. I mean, you didn't have one rep in you. So you left. You brought it all, and that's very different. That's most trainers don't see that. So
thank you for saying that.
So you were capable
to do that though, because it wasn't a. I honestly will tell you, you were. It was really black or white. I mean, you basically said that this is how it is. And this is how it's not. And you were either going to do this way. Don't ask me questions, Kat. I want you to go.
No questions.
Right, no questions. But
I don't do questions. No. Well, here's what I always tell.
I don't do questions. You come in here, you do the work. I don't do. I thought, okay, but it worked for me because I trusted you. I knew you knew what you were talking about. And going into it, yes, it was painful. Yes, it was. I got into 225. Pound squat. I just recall doing that one moment when I velcroed in on and did a 225 on this. I recall feeling like Superwoman because I felt like I had done something I thought I could never do. And
you earned it. You earned it. You trained for it. And you earned it. Yeah. Now, Crystal and I are different one way. She teaches. She's an instructor that teaches. Mm-hmm. I don't teach. I just instruct. Mm-hmm. And the people in the gym, in our gym, know that. So Crystal, trains somebody. I mean, they get a great education, which is great. I mean, I think it's good. There's a lot of top trainers that do that. I just, if you appreciate my knowledge.
He says, get on there and start pushing. And that's all you got. All right.
And I'll make sure, as long as you have the right form.
Right.
Yeah. I'll be
trainer.
all over you if you that form. I mean, I've yelled across the gym floor a few times.
Listen, I remember bringing in a Muscle Fitness magazine. I never subscribed to Oxygen or because it was just in me, Muscle Fitness. But even though I didn't want to look that big, I still subscribed to Muscle Fitness. And I brought in one of the magazines one day and I said, can we do that exercise? And he just looked at me and I said, uh-oh. And I said, okay, I'm putting back the magazine and we're just doing what you want to do. And no questions, just train, But and there's a lot of people who need that.
Yeah.
They feel comfortable, you know.
Yeah. I needed to shut my mouth and just train.
You talk a lot? I never. No, you're not a talker.
Not me. Very little. I'm not late, and I don't talk a lot. And
I don't think you did with him.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I'm not sure.
I don't remember Kat talking
Maybe
too much.
breathing a lot.
Yeah.
I was terrified. Are you kidding?
No, I used to sit in the car saying, "Oh my God, it's leg day." So I used to sit there 20 minutes thinking, I'm going to get through this.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to get through this, but okay.
Possibly today's the day I'm going.
But I almost
have
turning the car around.
Do you guys have like a Facebook page or anything that if people have questions or anything do you guys have a private page, a public page? So if anyone wanted to reach out with questions that you would be able to, whether it's tips or advice, I don't know if y'all do online training or not. Some people do. I mean, is there anything that people can reach out and
You know, Josh, we are so bad at Facebook. I mean, we do. Ironworks Gym does have a Facebook page,
okay.
but we're just not Facebook people. I mean, I'd like to find somebody that would work our Facebook. I mean, sure, it would even help business, but we're just not an online training. I just don't believe in it. I've trained many competitors and run-of-the-mill people. You got to be hands-on. I don't know what form they're doing. I mean, online, I can't see their form, how they're training. Could they have pushed out 3 more reps? I don't know. So that's we're not that tech.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah, I was just wondering because I know some people like having online trainers. Some people just like having that accountability. Some people might just be interested in your story and want to pick your brain on certain things. I know we left a lot of topics off that I'm sure that people would be interested in. But I mean,
well, our Facebook page we do have one, is ironworksgym.biz. Okay. Ironworksgym.biz.
Okay.
And our Facebook page.
You're like, it is. You know what we'll do, Crystal? We'll link it in. Josh, we'll link it in on.
No, wait. That's our. You know what?
That's our Facebook page.
That's our page right there. That's our ironworksgym.biz.
Okay.
That's our page. Our Facebook page is Ironworks Gym Kenley, North Carolina.
That's right.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. And
Sorry about that. We're like I said, every now and then I'll post something, but I gotta get better. That's my goal.
It's one of those things that's kind of on the back burner that you kind of think about. I mean, it's good for us with, wanting to do the podcast. Like everyone's just 2 seconds from looking at their phone and trying to connect. But you never know who could be listening out there who might be interested or close. Be like, you know what? I'm cutting through, or I'm living over around the corner, and they never knew the whole time.
Well, Kenley, good luck in finding it. It's on the map. It's this big. We're on exit 107 and 95. That's the best I know how to say. In North Carolina.
And
and if you find it, they can be on the podcast with us.
Right. Wait, we didn't do, and Tom Schaefer, I'm not sure. Tom is does our production. Tom, do you happen to have those photographs queued up? Because I sure would love to
before and after
show Crystal's before and after, and a couple of Garrett's photos.
I did post a couple of them on our Instagram page, so whoever's listening, it's just the Music City Fitness 615 on Instagram. But on our story, we've got the pictures, the before and after.
Thank you.
They look great.
Thank you.
They are freaking amazing, and those weren't even the full.
Listen,
right.
It's all good. We've had a great discussion here with Josh and Kat, and what better way to spend our anniversary?
Yeah, again, happy anniversary. Happy 12th anniversary.
Thank you.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Happy.
Blessings to all of you, and thank you to Tom Schaefer as well.
Yes, thanks, Tom. Tom working extra time, overtime today.
Yeah. But listen, God bless, And I don't know if there's any more that you need to ask or want to ask, but
well, if there is, we'll just get you guys back on another time.
Exactly.
Okay.
I love it.
Anytime
Okay.
you want to come back, you guys are more than welcome. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Josh.
All right. Very blessed for you guys. Thank you, especially on tonight.
Thanks for joining us on Music City Fitness. We had a blast, and thank you for all your questions. Come hang with us next week, same time, same station.